October 28th, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. Looked like in the pre-market there was a dip, spike, sell-off, kind of a gradual spike, but this is pretty sideways with a slight bullish bias. Sell-off, push up. This is something like, I think, news about China tariffs and trade talks or something happened right here. Sell off, bounce up, sideways consolidation. I took a trade right here, rally up, sideways, and then kind of weird sell off. This is how I drew the charts today. Despite all this, there wasn't that much, there wasn't very many trades that set up. And this is similar to yesterday. I believe it's because the FOMC rate decision is actually coming out tomorrow. And so what I typically notice, since they always come out on Wednesdays, on Monday and Tuesdays, the trading is usually pretty slow, choppy, because a lot of traders are positioning themselves and waiting for the rate decision. Now, I don't really know what they're going to do, but I suspect they're either going to keep it flat or they might actually lower the rates. I think that's what everybody believes, but it's not as firm as earlier this year because inflation, tariffs, there's just been a lot of volatility and a lot of uncertainty. So I'm going to go into the trades right now. I did take this one trade here and was profitable. On the pre-market, there was a sell-off. It was just choppy sideways, then a strong push up on this yellow up channel. Looks like it was a new high here. If you look at it visually, because by the technical count, you have a first entry long here, followed by a second entry long, but it looks more like a visual first entry long, pullback, second entry long failure, potential triple test. This isn't the best signal bar because it's an inside bar, and it happened right here, like just 2 minutes after the open. So inside bar, 2 minutes after the open, you do have a triple test coming. It's a break of this yellow up channel, could test the highs again. There's just a lot of ambiguity on what it could do, and the market just started trading. So I was reluctant to try to mark or try to take a trade here. There's a sell off on this green down channel, bounce, first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short, but again, it feels a little congested because you can tell the bodies are kind of neutral, kind of the same size, not really giving any clear direction. Pushes up. I'm not really sure what happened here because there's no economic data that really moved the market. Tomorrow will be different, right around 11 o'clock Pacific Standard. Fed Chair Powell, no, 11 o'clock Pacific Standard, they're going to release the rate decision, so it's going to cause a lot of volatility. And then at 11:30 Pacific Standard, that's when Jerome Powell comes out, adds some color commentary. Depending on what he says, it could really jolt the market one way or the other. But it's hard to know when those will happen. So most likely it's the 11 o'clock that's going to be, don't trade around that time. So that sells off on this orange down channel. Again, it just looks choppy. You can find second entries in here, and there are there, and second entry shorts, second entry longs, but the context is a little hard to read because it's just so choppy right here, because this is what you're seeing in real time. It's barely moving within like maybe 4 points, and it's just kind of printing sideways for the most part. So chops, breaks, looks like it's moving up this yellow up channel. There's a small breakout here, pushes down. You have a first entry long pullback. You technically have a second entry long here, but this is just noise. Pushes up. Break of this really shallow yellow up channel has pushed back in. Not really seeing anything that great. Was thinking maybe there's some kind of range here with this as a potential. I was trying to position it some kind of support area, but it ultimately didn't really yield any good setups. So if you treated this like a localized low, first entry short, second entry short, bad signal bar, just waiting, pushes down on this purple down channel, overshoot on this side. So I'm not so sure it's going to come back down and test the lows here now. We have a first entry short, technically have a second entry short here. Then it looks like it's a failed second entry short. It's like a first entry short, pull back, second entry short has failed right here, but you're going to potentially run into EMA. As I said, I don't think this purple down channel is going to test the lows anymore because it already had an overshoot or a break on the low side. You want to see a break on the high side with this support holding firm, then you can expect to test the low. But if it breaks on the low side, it could be interpreted that traders already believe it has tested the low. So it has a fallout here. Less probability is going to come back down and test this. And that's kind of what it happens. Creates a failed second entry short. I call it an almost trade because it's hard to really trust anything here. We get kind of a higher low right here, but it's a doji and it's running into a potential support area. Pushes up in this orange up channel. Looks like it creates two measured legs down. So it's a new high, first entry long pullback. I'm thinking there's a potential second entry long here. And it creates a second entry long. Unfortunately, it's not a good signal bar. So now I'm looking for a higher low. You don't get the higher low, and it already exceeds the localized high. So now you're just back in the waiting game. This is about when I think news came out that the Trump administration or something with China, tariffs might be reduced. They're working on some kind of trade deal because he's over there in Asia right now trying to wheel and deal. Pushes to a localized high. Looks like there is some kind of resistance here. So at one time I was thinking this could be the top of the range, and then the bottom of the range could be this pre-market low. You have a first entry long here. You kind of have a second entry long here, but I didn't like that this is inside bar. Then you have a first entry long pullback, second entry long here has technically failed. I thought this is a possible trade because it also looks like a lower high. So it looks like it's two legs down, one leg down, pullback, second leg down from the top of this resistance, which may be a larger range, but I don't know yet because you do have three confirmations here and a fourth touch here, but this is so close together. I really counted this as maybe just one grouping touch. Two, I feel more comfortable if there's some kind of intermediate touch somewhere in here. But if you're more aggressive, you could consider this as the top of the range, multiple tests, which it is, but I just considered it a little bit less weak. I mean, less strong, a little more weak than I prefer. So it's a first entry long, second entry long, lower high. I like that it moved two ticks above this guy, engulfed it completely, and closed near the low. So I thought there's enough momentum here to potentially move back into this orange down channel for at least a 1 point scalp. Now, today, I was just kind of thinking I'm going to back off in the 2 point scalp because it's just been choppy. The ATR wasn't fantastic, so I don't want to be in a big trade waiting for a 2 point scalp to happen when I could easily just take a 1 point scalp because there seemed to be like a lot of noise and fake outs. So would have entered here. Looks like it would have been good enough maybe for a 1 point scalp. 2 points, yeah, you could get 2 points, but it just feels a little dicey. It would have worked by here. And chops around, moves up, break of the red channel, test the high, continues upwards. Now it's moving sideways. This is actually where I take my first and only trade. So I'm watching this. I saw what's been happening. It's just been noisy, but it's starting to break out of this potential top of the range support. So it looks like it's not making its way back down now because it was a strong push down. Try to make it up to the highs, but then strong push down. So it looks like it's two legs. Looks like it's one big leg pull back, and this could be the start of a second leg, at least in the higher time frames. And it's pushing out of this potential top of the range. So I saw a localized high here. I saw as a first entry long pullback, second entry long. EMA is starting to look like it's acting as support. So it's multiple tests off this bounce point, and it looks like it's creating a higher low. This yellow up channel doesn't exist yet until a little bit later. And I thought, okay, well, if I'm going to take a trade here, I definitely don't want to take a 2 point scalp because it feels dicey. It probably is good enough for a 1 point scalp. So I entered one, I waited for this bar to close, had to work on my patience, entered one tick above, going for a 1 point scalp, and it pushes out. It's a little hard to see, but I get my 1 point scalp right here. Not going for a runner, not going for 2 point scalp. If I gone for 2 point scalp, it would have failed, as you're going to see. So my entry was here, and 2 point scalp is right up here. 2 point scalp's also asking prices to push through this very apparent range, very apparent resistance of this range. So my stop would have been down here. I would have had to wait through this, not getting a fill in the 2 point scalp, and then this candle probably would have stopped me out. Then you have to sit through this again. So now let me just point something out. My stop was one tick below here when I entered this trade because I didn't want to put it one tick below here because this is my signal bar that I'm using. It was one tick below here. So this likely would have stopped me out. If it didn't, I don't know, I would have just been super lucky. So if you decided that you actually want to be more aggressive and put it one tick below this, more visible, then you would have survived. But the risk reward would have been much higher because you're right here, you're dropping about 4 points. Actually, I can measure it. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this guy. Remember, I'm going for 1 point scalps, so going from here to here is about 5 bars. I'd be going for 13 ticks trying to scalp 4. It's just a little too risky for me. And prices move up. Looks like a graded failed second entry short, localized low. First entry short pullback, second entry short failure here. Now, at this point, I do have this drawn as a potential trend line support, and then I later turned it into a channel because it looks like good confirmations up here, good confirmations on the low side. I try to have this touch down here, but as you're going to see, it doesn't make a very good channel because if I try to have this touch or even here touch, it just doesn't encapsulate it as well. So I treated it as this is the channel that might be in play. Failed second entry short. You don't know that's going to fail until it breaks above this guy. So by the time this closes, it feels the trade might be too late. Could be a fail breakout of this range and prices could move back down because there's a play of, is this yellow up channel actually in play or is this range going to dominate? If it's range rules, then you're expecting a price to move back in because it has come all the way down to the low side and the high side consistently. So right now, this picture tells me this blue range is more important than this yellow up channel range. So that's how come this is an almost trade. But in this case, it breaks out. The blue range is no longer in play, doesn't seem as important. He's pushing up, hits the high side, so confirming this yellow up channel pretty well. Goes back down. Now I'm expecting a bounce off of here because it hit the high side. Could be get a bounce here, so I saw a new high. First entry long, so actually visually looks like it's one attempt, second attempt, third attempt, but it actually by the count is a first entry long pullback, second entry long. But I also saw it as one visual leg down pullback, potential second leg down. All that being said, I'm looking for a nice setup, good signal bar for second entry long bounce off of this. So you do have a second entry long, but it closed a little close to here. So I'm actually looking for a higher low. This is great, but unfortunately, I don't like if this is going to be my higher low trade. It would have been the higher low, but then this is inside of this. So when you see this one closed, I'm taking my taking any trades that I thought I was going to have off the table, especially now it's just moving sideways. So if you did sit it out, you would have gotten, a fill here, or if you entered up here, well, actually, you probably want to enter after the break of this guy. So in my case, I'm seeing, excuse me, I'm seeing a first entry long pullback, second entry long measured move. I'm looking for a higher low. This higher low is terrible because it doesn't break above and it's a red bar. This higher low is also terrible, but it's also failed second entry short, but it doesn't look that clean. It's kind of dwelling too long outside this yellow up channel. So I didn't think it was a worthwhile trade. But that creates your higher low here. And I thought this is actually a possible trade, but it is more aggressive. You have two legs down. You also have a visual first entry short, second entry short. Second entry short failed right here, and it creates a higher low right here. It's aggressive because it is moving back into the yellow up channel, but it dwelled a little longer than I'd like. But I could have this channel incorrect. So it could actually be a little more shallow, but the more shallow it goes, the less I like it. Because if it gets too shallow, then it starts looking like a range. So it might have been something like this, where you can capture all the prices moving inside. Either way, I thought it was a little aggressive. It's a good signal bar, though. EMA is a little flat, so you can't quite trust it. It might be in a range. That's how come I had this blue one drawn. So it looked like it was a break of this green down channel. First attempt, second attempt, so maybe reversing. The bias is definitely bullish, though, because you can see from looking to the left, it is starting to push back up. It would have been good enough for a 1 point scalp. 2 points would have probably blasted you. And that's already looking throughout the rest of the day. I kind of could tell from the ATR and how prices were moving. Definitely to be more conservative, just go for the quick 1 point scalp. Don't try to get anything more than that. Prices then continue moving. Looks like it's in this range. Break of this purple up channel is tested once, twice, but now it kept going. Looks like it's moving into this yellow up channel. New high, first entry long, pullback. And by now we're too late in the day. It's already in the last 30 minutes. So it's like a second entry long here. Looks like there's a break of this green down channel, maybe test the low, but I'm now pretty much not going to take any trades because it's too late in the day. I saw this as a new low, first entry short, second entry short. I saw it and I just wished that well, I wish there was more time. And the second thing, I wanted to see a bounce rejection off this EMA, but I saw it. It might be in a second entry short, but it just doesn't set up the most clean. The only other thing going for it was if you have a localized high, you have a first entry long, and by the technical count, you have a second entry long right here. This could have been a second entry long failure with a lower high to all this. But again, as I said, it just formed too late in the day because it would have been good enough for a safe 1 point scalp, in my opinion. But considering the time of day, you have to not take that trade, or at least I don't want to take that trade. Then it pushes up, gets to the last 10 minutes where things get choppy, and pushes into the close. So kind of how I saw the charts today, really only marked 3 setups, took 1 trade and was profitable. Other than that, it was kind of a slow, not too eventful day, which isn't that surprising considering it's the day right before the FOMC where a lot of traders just kind of buckling down. So hopefully that was helpful.